Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of December 13th. In a joint meeting last week, the Bloomington City Council and the Bloomington Port Authority moved forward on two projects that could literally reshape Bloomington: the proposed Waterpark and Mall of America and Expo 2027. An indoor water park has been in the plans at Mall of America since the mall was first talked about in the 1980s. In 2018, the City Council and the Port Authority started work in earnest with 555, the owners of Mall of America, to try and find a way to make the water park project a reality. You may remember a plan was developed that would have created a nonprofit entity to facilitate the project. The nonprofit would have served as owner and borrower for the water park, and it was an interesting model that would have moved the project forward while protecting the city and the port from financial risks. But ultimately, the plan was put on hold when COVID shut down development plans. So fast forward to this year, when the Minnesota legislature passed a new law that gives cities and port authorities new flexibility for using tax increment financing to spur economic development. After a lot of discussion and review, it became clear that this new TIF option was a better tool than the nonprofit option to get the water park project moving. Under the TIF scenario approved by the council and the port, 555 will secure private financing for the construction of the water park. When they have the financing, the Bloomington Port Authority will pay for $73 million in public infrastructure, mostly parking, and also use $30 million for the water park itself. These TIF funds are part of the fenced money that has been dedicated to South Loop development by state law. I want to say it again, these are not general fund property tax dollars that could otherwise be spent on roads or parks or any other projects. These TIF funds are specifically earmarked by state law for economic development in the South Loop. Privately financing the water park is a much more traditional development model, and I really like two things about this agreement. First is that much of the investment by the Port Authority could ultimately be recaptured if the water park performs above expectations and if revenues are higher than expected. The second part goes back to the work we did in 2018 on the water park when the Port Authority spent $7.5 million on planning for the project. Under this deal, that $7.5 million will be repaid to the South Loop Development Fund when the project closes. As I mentioned earlier, there's a second part of this whole deal that's related to Expo 2027. Obviously, a viable site is needed in order for Minnesota to host Expo 2027. The empty parcels of land just to the east of Mall of America, also known as the adjoining lands, have been identified as the core of that site for Expo 2027. That land is currently owned by 555, and under this agreement, $9 million of available value on that land will be freed up for 555 to use on the water park. Basically, it's a loan from the Port Authority. In exchange, the city will have a purchase option on that 31-acre site and will have the core site needed for Expo 2027. If Expo doesn't happen, 555 will pay back the $9 million and regain control of the site. We, again, used the fenced money to pay for this loan. This money cannot be used for any general purpose, just like the water park TIF I talked about previously. Now, I know a lot of people will watch this and ask, why is the city doing this? Well, driving economic development is a core function of local government. It always has been, and it's right alongside public safety, parks, and keeping the roads plowed as things a city government does to make the city better. A water park at MOA would add economic resiliency to the South Loop and MOA by bringing in new visitors. Always remember that Mall of America is 10% of Bloomington's tax base, and the hotels in the city add another 6.5%. Working together with those industries is in the best interest of all of us. These lodging taxes are a boon to Bloomington and help keep our property taxes low. Simply put, without these lodging taxes, all Bloomington taxpayers would pay more. As for the benefits of Expo 2027, I've said before that a 3-month event that draws visitors from all over the country and all over the world would be a great thing for our local economy. But the biggest benefit will be the long-term economic development opportunities that would come as a result of the Expo. Like anything, potential benefits should be balanced against potential risks. It's possible that a water park could substantially underperform, or that Mall of America could see a decline in attendance. If the worst-case scenario were to occur, and the water park would go into bankruptcy, it would be resolved in the same way that other private businesses handle bankruptcies and resolve those issues. It would be resolved through the workout of terms with lenders or possibly even the sale of the business to another investor. That type of scenario would likely affect Bloomington's reputation, and it's likely that the TIF investment by the port would not be recaptured. However, there is nothing in this agreement that requires additional investment by the City of Bloomington. I'll put it another way. Bloomington taxpayers are not on the hook if the water park fails. If somebody says differently on social media, they are wrong. There is much more to come on this project as this all progresses. As always, I'll keep you updated with the latest. Earlier this week, Minnesota USA Expo facilitated an inspiring presentation to the Bureau of International Expositions promoting Minnesota as a potential site for Expo 2027. Presenters on behalf of Minnesota USA Expo included the United States Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, Governor Tim Walz, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, John Stanek, who is the president and the CEO of Minnesota USA Expo, and yours truly, speaking for Bloomington. My presentation talked about how Bloomington has the experience and the infrastructure to host an event such as an expo, and how our location and our transportation systems make Bloomington the best choice to bring an expo to the United States. Just so you have all the players straight here, Minnesota USA Expo is the official organization behind the effort to bring the expo to Minnesota in Bloomington. Minnesota USA Expo is its own legal entity, it has its own board of directors, and its own fundraising arm. They will prepare the formal application to the Bureau of International Expositions. Now, the Bureau of International Expositions, or the BIE, is the intergovernmental organization in charge of overseeing and regulating world expos. They've been doing this since 1931. They are the group that will ultimately choose the host country for Expo 2027. That decision is expected in November of next year. And finally today, a mayor's shout out to Bloomington Public Works staff who did a great job getting all of us plowed out after Friday's monster snowfall. Thank you for your outstanding work. Well done. That will do it for this week's Council Minute. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, stay safe, Bloomington.